There is another fantastic PlayStation Store sale available right now, and on top of the sales that you guys are going to see on the PlayStation Store, there is a 10% off promo code that we'll leave in the description box down below. Now, it's a one-time use, but you can use it on your entire cart, so figure out what you want to get from the sale and then use the promo code and it'll take 10% off everything. The prices we go over in this video are going to be with the 10% off code added in, so keep that in mind. With that being said, let's get right into this. Persona 5 for $27. Persona 5 has gone on sale often now. Typically it goes off 50% off, but now with that additional 10% off, you're saving a little bit of more money on top of that. And the fact of the matter is, Persona 5 is a game that you could argue is worth $100. It's that good, you can make an argument it is the best Japanese RPG of all time. It's got so much content, and the great thing about Persona 5 is it's a game with quality and quantity. It never felt redundant, and the game always feels fresh and engaging, and that's very hard to do when you have a game that's going north of 100 hours, well over 100 hours for that fact. Now that the game is down to just $27, even if you're not a fan of Japanese RPGs, this is the one I would definitely give a shot to.
Taste the wrath of those who are preyed upon by you! What's the answer?
Come to me!
Call of Duty World War II for $40. So Call of Duty is a franchise that's become one of the most iconic in all of gaming. It's not a franchise that every gamer loves, but it's definitely got its audience, and the thing about the Call of Duty games is that they don't go on sale that often. And this is a brand new low for Call of Duty World War II on the digital front, so if you've yet to check this game out, it's really good and it's a very complete experience. The single player is solid, the multiplayer is fun, and the zombies mode is a ton of fun. Now, if you haven't been a fan of the Call of Duty games in recent years, is World War II gonna win you over? Probably not. Yes, it's a change of setting, but it's still Call of Duty through and through. However, if you want to jump in and just have a good time with the first-person shooter, you can definitely get that out of Call of Duty World War II, and at $40, it's a decent pickup.
That is in the First Division that goes across, it starts in Normandy, goes all the way across France, Belgium, and into Germany. It's, and some of the biggest battles of World War II.
Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice for $19. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice was one of the most surprising games of 2017. Initially, when we saw gameplay of Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, it looked very rough around the edges. This is a game that I personally thought Ninja Theory was not going to deliver on, but boy was I wrong. Ninja Theory did a fantastic job with Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, telling an amazing story and building a great atmosphere. Voice acting is great and gameplay is solid, and as I mentioned, the real strength of Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is building an engrossing and atmospheric world. It launched at just $30, but if that was too expensive for you, now at just $19, this is an absolute must-play title.
And now that you're home, he's so far away. They've taken his soul.
Crash Bandicoot: The Insane Trilogy for $22. Crash Bandicoot has been a franchise that so many of us have wanted to see make a return to gaming, and while we didn't get a brand new Crash Bandicoot game last year, we did get Crash Bandicoot: The Insane Trilogy, which bundles all 3 original Crash games in one collection. And you might think that the games have aged a little bit since their original release, and sure, they don't look as good as your game that's built ground up for the PlayStation 4. However, the remastered visuals look great, and the games are still a blast to play through. At $22, whether you've played Crash and you want to revisit it, or you're a newcomer to the franchise, this price is too good to pass up.
Great water effect. In fact, the water tech was developed specifically for this title. This includes new splashes that help the player with tells. Example, you can see the rippling effect just as the lily pads are going to sink, so you know when to jump.
Zero Escape: The Nonary Games for $18. Zero Escape is a franchise that's gonna target a very niche audience. It's not a game for everyone, it's very story-driven, which is already gonna turn some people off, and then it's also got that Japanese setting and flavor to it, so that might turn some people off too. However, if you give Zero Escape a chance, the games are absolutely engrossing, and each game in the series follows a group of 9 individuals who are kidnapped and held captive by a person who goes by the name of Zero. They're forced to play a game of life and death, your typical zany Japanese story, but it's so engrossing and will keep you on the edge of your seat. Zero Escape: The Nonary Games includes the first 2 titles. There is a 3rd title, but you should definitely play the games in chronological order. And now to get the collection for $18, this is the perfect time to jump in and check out Zero Escape.
I'm plenty friendly.
Hold on a minute. That is the truth.
Who am I? How can I forget?
Then how do I take it off?
What makes you so sure?
Hello.
Injustice 2 for $22.50. Injustice 2. There have been a lot of great fighting games, especially in 2017, and you can make an argument that Injustice 2 has been the best one this generation. The core gameplay of Injustice 2 is very similar to the first title, but that's a good thing. It works very well. There's a new loot dropping system that keeps the game fresh and rewarding, and for somebody like me that isn't super into fighting games, I found it very good for newcomers as well, because the single player mode is also very engaging and is a worthwhile playthrough. I can understand why some of you might be hesitant to drop full retail value on a fighting game, especially if you're not super into the genre, but at $22.50, Injustice 2 is a great pickup.
Stop.
How do I beat him? You can't.
Observer for $16. Observer was another one of the surprising games of 2017, but it's a game that a lot of gamers don't talk about. While Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice was an underrated game, it's gotten that cult following, but I don't feel like Observer has followed suit. Nonetheless, it is a great game. It's a psychological horror game, and you play it from a first-person perspective. The setting of Observer is definitely the standout. It's set in 2084 Poland following a digital plague that cost the lives of thousands. This results in war and rampant drug use. You play as a detective tasked with hacking their target's memories and fears with a device known as the Dream Eater. The dialogue in this game is great, and just like Hellblade, it's a very absorbing title. Is it as good of a game as Hellblade? I wouldn't go that far. They're two very different games, but they both launched to not a ton of fanfare, and Observer is a game you should go back and check out, especially if you're a fan of those psychological horror games.
To gather evidence, to dredge up whatever's hiding in the darkest corners of your mind. My name is Daniel.
The Last of Us Remastered for $9. So I said the word underrated a couple times. The Last of Us is a game that's definitely not underrated, but if you have somehow not played it and you own a PlayStation 3 or a PlayStation 4, you are doing yourself a disservice. We already know how talented of a studio Naughty Dog is, and the Uncharted games are great, but a lot of gamers would argue that The Last of Us is their greatest creation. And that's for a variety of different reasons. The characters in the game are awesome. Joel and Ellie create a great dynamic. The gameplay is great. The voice acting is incredible. The storytelling is incredible. Every element of The Last of Us from a single player standpoint is great. There is a multiplayer component as well, but that's not all too great. You're really getting it for the single player mode. And by the way, the remastered version does also include the DLC. That DLC centers around Ellie, but it's a nice piece of additional content. And again, if you've yet to play The Last of Us at this price, you absolutely can't go wrong. What Remains of Edith Finch for $11. What Remains of Edith Finch was a game developed by Giant Sparrow. Now, Giant Sparrow aren't the most known studio in the world, but they also worked on Unfinished Swan, another great story-driven game, and What Remains of Edith Finch follows suit. This game follows Edith Finch revisiting her old family home as she recalls and discovers stories of deceased family members. Again, this is a game that's very much driven by the story. It's light on the gameplay, but that story is very strong and its presentation style is unique. This is one of those games that its initial launch price may have turned some people away, but now that it's down to $11, this is a great price to check out What Remains of Edith Finch.
But it had to end one way or another.
And finally, Assassin's Creed the Ezio Collection for $22.50. Assassin's Creed is one of the most iconic franchises in all of gaming, and it really started to blow up with Assassin's Creed 2 and its subsequent follow-ups Assassin's Creed Brotherhood as well as Assassin's Creed Revelations. All of those games starred arguably the most popular character in the franchise in Ezio. And with the Ezio Collection, you get all three of those games remastered, better visuals, all that good stuff, and you can revisit arguably the best games in the Assassin's Creed franchise. I know a lot of you would disagree with that. We've had a lot of other great Assassin's Creed games, but all three in AC2, AC Brotherhood, and AC Revelations were great, although by the end it was getting a little bit tired with having Ezio in every game, but regardless, they were all very well developed games. And if you've never checked out out the Assassin's Creed 2 trilogy, you definitely should. Especially if you've played recent AC titles and enjoyed them, you should really see how the series became what it is, because AC2 was the game that took the franchise to the next level after they blundered a little bit with the first Assassin's Creed title. At $22.50, you get 3 great games, and that's a bargain.
Ezio, fight with me and show him what it means to cross the assassins.
So that wraps up 10 awesome deals available during this PlayStation Store Essential Sale. What do you think? Which of these games are you going to check out? And make sure you use that 10% off promo code. We will leave it in the description box down below. Some great deals available. Sound off with your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.